Hello there, humans and non-humans. Welcome to another episode of Non-Traditional Headspace. This is Denisse, and the first thing I want to do is apologize for being off for weeks now. But I'm going to explain why, okay? I'm going to really go in deeper with you as to why I have been off. I want to be completely honest about this, and I feel like it might help others to understand this if you're listening and watching. So, to start off, 2023 is over, right? That's a fact. And 2024 is already on its way. And I feel like time is passing by quickly already. And it's preoccupying in some way because it feels like, oh, yep, one more year, one more shit show. But we have to hang on here forcedly. There's like no option here. Where am I right now? Again, I'm in my apartment in Lyon, France. This is where I'm shooting at right now. I'm wearing this huge coat because, yes, I am in my apartment. I'm supposed to have very nice heated room temperature here because it's winter and it's cold. It's actually right now in the city, it's 4 degrees. So it's cold. But in my apartment, the heating situation is not working quite well here right now. At least not for me. Like it's not heating very well. And I'm cold. So yeah, I find myself most of the time wearing a sweater or a coat right now whenever I'm here. I used to be before at the village where I am going to be returning to this week as well because I have other news for you guys as well. Like it's a mix up of everything. But before I do that, I want to make a quick commercial, like because I'm talking about me wearing this huge coat and not having good heating in my apartment. What's happening is there's one single heater or radiator for a very big space where I'm at right now, and it's not really doing its job because the room is too big. It's like this open loft type of apartment. And I had to Google this and look it up because it didn't make sense to me. But I learned something. For those of you who might be interested in knowing this, why do they place radiators or heaters right beneath the windows? To me, it's like, it doesn't make sense. Why do they place it always? They're always like beneath the windows. To me, it's like, isn't it escaping? Well, no, it's on the contrary, according to what I found on the internet. It says that it actually helps heat the air that might be coming in through the cracks or the frames of the windows, the cold air from outside, and that way you like block it right at the start instead of the air coming in and the radiator being at the other side of the room, which kind of makes sense when I read it. And then the other reason, it says that it also warms up that wall where most of the cold air is coming in from the outside. It's like a double effect. It blocks the cold air and it also warms up that wall faster than the rest of the walls in your room that you're trying to heat. So that should accelerate the heating of the entire room. So yeah, it's interesting. So in case somebody asks or you want to bring up conversation, there you go. You can talk about heaters and why do we place heaters beneath the window, like just to sound smarter than the other people, because I'm sure that half of the people out there have no idea of why are they under the windows. So anyway, again, like 2023 was an interesting year. I didn't exercise. My cousin actually shared with me this course where you're able to prepare yourself for the upcoming year. But it's more of a holistic approach, which I love. I am all into that. I have always found that there is this strong connection between us and the universe, or however you want to call it. God, of course. I have a Christian background. So for me, if you ask me, more than calling it the universe, I would usually call it God. okay, this supreme power that I know that exists, this is what I believe. I cannot prove that to you because I have no scientific background either behind it, but that's what I believe. So she shared with me this course, and I was very, very happy to have completed it because it really prepared me better to let go of what happened in 2023, which was a lot for me. I feel like it was a lot. And then get ready to start this 2024. And I just finished it 2 days ago. So it's pretty recent. And today's already half the month of January. So I came in late. And the reason I came in late to do all this, like most of the people are very enthusiastic about starting, and most of the people were doing this closing 2023 to get ready for 2024. Truth is, I had a rough time finishing 2023 because I went through a lot of personal things that took a toll on me mentally and emotionally as well. And it all accumulated by the end of the year. I had to like catch up later with this, and even doing this recording for you guys and keep it going. And I apologize for that because I have not been consistent. The truth is, I've been lacking that willpower to do things lately in general. Like, I have a hard time right now just getting out of bed early. Still have not been able to. I went on a trip in November to visit family and friends in the US. I was not able to sleep on my return flight to here, to Europe. And since then, like, my sleeping got disturbed. And of course, I was stressed because a lot of things were happening at the same time. So I had like this unconscious stress in my mind all the time towards the end of November, entire December. And yeah, I told you guys I was going to talk about my age at some point. I just turned 37 this December that passed in 2023. And it's no longer something that I look forward to have birthdays coming up. Like, I should, right? Like, all of us should. Like, we should be happy to be around one more year and make the best of it. But I was not in my best headspace by the end of the year, like I said. So just turning 37 specifically at the end, because my date of birth is at the end of the year. It's hard. It always puts me in a mood of overthinking. And I go through everything that happened. And I usually just look at everything in a negative way. And this is just something that I have decided that I want to work on this year, which is stop looking at things so negatively and stop being such a party pooper within my own self. Like, I'm an overthinker for sure. I will go through something over and over and over again, in my mind. It gets to a point where it's too much. It's too much. And then I come across a lot of information at the same time because I start reading and I start searching, like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And I try to figure out how to stop it. But out of desperation, I started going through a lot of information, which sometimes is not the best thing to do. And I found things that maybe I am not certified anything so far, although I'm doing a coaching certification right now as we speak. But it's mostly to teach myself what it's all about. I want to know how that works, because I'm sure that in the way I'm going to learn a lot about myself more than just being able to help others, which helping others is just a plus that can come out of it. But all that I've been reading about that has helped. And it is connected at the same time with other things that can help me also connect everything that I've read before, what I'm reading now, and what I'm receiving from that certification that I'm doing. And I have also got in touch with people who are a little bit more specialized in those subjects. And so many terms right now that are flying around, and we hear them a lot. And before, I wouldn't afford to say them, like I wouldn't afford to accept them. But if I read them and I read the descriptions, and it's almost like that stupid thing that we do now, which is go through the internet and we auto diagnose ourselves with shit. You know, like, oh, my head hurts, and I Google it up, and then I end up having like a tumor in my brain, according to what I read on the internet. So, this is kind of the not right behavior that I have. I go through information and then I try to apply it to myself because I want to feel identified with something. But it doesn't mean that I really suffer from that. So I try now to be more objective into what I'm reading and just try to get more of the positive. Like I'm really forcing myself to try to look at the positive aspect of things instead of focusing on the negative things. So, in order for you to understand what I mean when I say that I was going through a lot last year and to be more open, you know, towards the public out there who is listening and watching. Last year, I came and I settled here in France. It's not been easy, and I have been receiving from a few people already information as to why it's not easy to come to France. I kind of have had that predisposition because you hear it all the time. Oh, they're a bit of snobbish behavior that they have. They usually like tend to feel like they are a little bit better than the rest, specifically Europeans, and the ongoing competition that they have with the United States of America people. But other than that, I just had like that prejudice. Okay. I said, okay, fine. I think I can handle it. But I was very, very much surprised when I got here and I lived it and I went through it myself. I still don't really 100% understand it yet because in my mind, it doesn't make sense yet. You know, why do they behave a certain way? And why do they have certain traits in their way of behaving around others that seems so normal for them, but completely out of line for me? What I do have to say about that is there is some truth to it. Yes, people can be assholes here if they want to. Like they can. They really can. And there's assholes people, a-holes all over the world, in every single country, I'm sure, but there's a very particular percentage here that takes over compared to other places. That's interesting to me. And I agree. But there's also a very huge chunk that are just nice people. But I do have to say that I have personally realized from my entire experience, which is only almost a year to be, is that there's a lot of people here that are nice, but they are not from the big cities. So, very much like I would think happens in most places. Like, the nicest people are in the rural areas or the small villages or the countryside because they're disconnected from everything that is mostly influencing for the bad, to bring out the bad in people in general, in humanity in general. So I think that has to do a lot with it. I have encountered a lot of nice people, friends, and family in the village where I will be spending my time right now. And there's very good things about that. There's, of course, village type things that I'm going to share with you later about why it is a bit complicated, because if you're from the city, then it's difficult to adapt to certain things when it comes to a small village, and you're not 100% there with a lot of things that they are used to. But when in terms of relationships, definitely the treatment there is better. People are nicer, they collaborate among themselves, and they have this worry about helping each other and looking after each other to make sure that you feel comfortable, you feel like you can count on them for anything that you might need. It might be invasive if you're from the city. That's one of the things I want to like point out, maybe, is like for those of us who come from cities, it's not common. So when you're not used to that type of treatment, you almost feel like, oh, they're invading my space by asking so many things and just sharing things. And but this is the type of walls that we build because we are afraid of judgment and we're afraid of people hurting us, which they do. People from the big cities, like I said, can be a-holes. They can be really mean, and that's what I experienced here last year. They were mean, and that meanness was accentuated in my workspace, in my job. And I had been working for this company for 9 years now, and slowly but surely it came up to be that I was no longer identified with a lot of things. I don't identify with a lot of things that they're doing, or the way of handling themselves, or how they approach things. And I have already this idea about disconnecting from it right after the pandemic, because during and after the pandemic, which is crazy that we talk about that as if it was a year ago or 2 years ago. It is already 5 years ago that that happened. But in my mind, it's still so fresh because I went through a lot emotionally back then as well, and mentally. And I had decided that I wanted out. But I felt comfortable because I was looking at it as an opportunity of coming here for personal reasons, and tied up with the perfect scenario of having an opportunity to have the comfort of having a secure job. So that way you don't have to get married to somebody. In my case, that I have been with someone for a while now, I don't have to get married for the wrong reasons, which is, oh, I need to get a visa, and so I need to get married. I don't believe in that. Like, I don't like the idea of that. So the fact that I could have a mutation between being with the same company in Latin America and coming here and having a job with them sounded good. Although I sacrificed my career growth with it at the same time, because I downgraded myself in terms of, positions within the company, which is a monster. I took it and I regret it. It was a mistake. That was me being afraid. That was me doing the most comfortable thing and the easiest way out to the problem, which was, if I decide to go there, I will have to look for something ground zero and start again. Oh, no, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just go for anything with the same company. I'm going to be fine. I know this, I know how it works and everything. No, no, no. No, no, no. It's a whole different story. It didn't go down that way. I was really mistreated by the people in the office that I was put at, which is in this city in Lyon. I cannot begin to explain the toxic environment that I found there. I just wish it changes, because whoever is working there, I gotta say, it's not the right environment. It's not correct. It's not how it should be, for sure. And I have friends and colleagues that are still working in the company, of course, and that will continue. But they say that these things happen, in different locations around the world. So maybe it's a company thing. I don't know what's going on, man. But instead of looking at it from the company side or whatever, I just think there's something greater there that's going on that is absolutely wrong, that I don't want to be a part of. Let me give you a few examples just to explain better here what's going on and why I mean what I mean. The idea of going to a workplace where you're new, right? People don't know who you are. They just know the generals. Okay, she's coming from another continent. She has been working for this company for more than 8 years. So she's almost like a mini Frankenstein version of what she's picked up through her career in this company. So she's not like a rookie here. Okay, she's going to be learning the language. And she's changed roles. She used to have a very good position down there, but now she downgraded. So she will probably have to catch up because she has not been doing like this type of work for a while. That's what I would think. Okay, fine. No prejudice, because they had no chance of talking to anyone before. They don't speak the language either. Like, they don't speak Spanish, and their English is quite bad, if I can say. I'll say that, yeah. They speak a shitty English. Yeah, there you have it. Your English is shitty. Yeah, it is. But, out of nowhere, the first introduction is like this ass face from people. Oh, like you're almost invading their space. Like, bitches, no, I'm coming here and I'm going to work here. I'm going to be sharing the same space. They don't have a place for you to sit at that is comfortable. They throw you in with, which is not an issue of having better or privilege over others. But I mean, would you like to be received that way? That's the number one question. If it were you going somewhere else, would you like them to treat you that way? Not to have a nice desk for you, sign. Like, just make the smallest investment in trying to help someone, Especially if you're supposed to be someone that is running the rest of the team there, which is not my boss, whatever. But you have like this manager type of role. And I'm speaking about people in particular here, which I shouldn't be. But just to give examples, I have to go a little bit into it. And just try, if you're kind of managing the place for the rest of the people and you have somebody that's arriving to the same space, you at least try to be nice and try to help them out. Or, these are the areas where you can find a place if you're looking for accommodation, home, to install yourself. If you need anything, this is where you can eat. No, they take you to the crappiest place around the corner and they tell you you can either bring your lunch or you can go buy something there. No effort at all, And it's not like they had busy days. No, because their days are quite interestingly starting at, questionable hours, if you ask me, by the time they really start operating and doing something. But no, first day, a very, very cold sandwich and water. And that's it. And then you go sit at the kitchen. And this happened not just at the beginning. This was like all the time. To a point where you're like, fuck it, I don't want to eat here, I understand why I see videos on the internet of people in other places eating in their cars by themselves. And this is something that friends and colleagues have told me about too, within the same country, like I said, in different regions of the world. People go into the kitchen area, they sit right in front, across, or next to somebody that they see at the office. They know who they are, they know their name, etc. They decide to not say one word during the entire time they're sitting there having their meal. Or what's even worse, that I detest, I hate with all my gut, they take out their phone and the entire time they're scrolling through their phone, ignoring. And I get it, like there's days where you don't want to talk to anyone, and then there's other people who are having their food at their desk, which is, to me, that's the lamest thing that you can do. You sit on that desk from the arrival to the end of your day, and you're also having your food there. Like, how unhealthy is that? How unhealthy is that? And no, I'm not pretending to make best friends at the office. That has never been a reality. You do have the opportunity of making friends sometimes. I've experienced that. Like, I think I can say that I have made very, very good friends. And it brings a smile to my face because I have people that I even hang out with, even though we're not working together anymore. But that shocked me. Like, I wasn't prepared for that, I have to say. I wasn't ready for that. Like, to me, it's like, what's going on here? This is horrible. And then through the day, they wouldn't say anything to you either. They wouldn't make, like I said, the slightest gesture to be nice. Like a couple of people would do, but then the rest just wouldn't. And I don't know. To make this story short, because it's getting long already, I had a hard time understanding these people here. And I also encountered it outside as well. Like, you go somewhere, the service, the way they treat you, like you go somewhere and you're trying to either make a transaction in a bank or go to the store and buy something, and they have this ass face all the time, and they're like, the face is like, why are you asking that? Like, are you stupid? Like, might as well just say it, Are you stupid? I would prefer that, actually. That would be at least better type of communication than just being a blunt ass face all the time. So I still don't get that, All that I do is ask myself, do I really want to spend the rest of my time dealing with this? Like, do I really have to? And that's still taking a toll on me because I'm still here, I'm still here. And I got to figure out what to do, because the greatest news I have to make is that I decided to end a relationship with the company. And it all happened, really materialized by the end of the year. And this is why the end of the year was so tumultuous for me. It all happened by the end of the year. I had it coming. I had these hints of, okay, it might happen sooner than later, but it might. But then it really happened. I put a name on that thing, and I pulled the trigger, and I pulled the plug, and I said, enough. And some things triggered it to happen. And that's the first time in more than 8 months that I had stood up for myself, because before that I was just taking it in. I couldn't recognize myself anymore, because this is not the type of person I am. Most of the time I'm too outspoken in work. I tend to say what I'm thinking, which is not good. all the time just to say what you think with no filter. But while being here last year, I just took it all in all the time, swallowed it, didn't say anything, lowered my head. I said, don't let it affect you. It will solve itself. Like, you shouldn't do anything because it's going to look bad because you're new here, you're adapting, and blah blah blah. But you know what, the truth is, I should have said something, and I regret it now. But that's on me. I didn't do anything when I should have. I didn't say anything when I should have, and I shouldn't have taken that. And since I had already this accumulation of things that had come from before, like I said, like after the pandemic, we're talking 2021, 2022, 2023 last year. So it's been a few years now that I've been thinking about leaving. And I didn't, because I was afraid, because I thought it was not the smartest thing to do, because who wants to to lose their source of income from one day to the next with no plan? And this is where I am right now. And it's not easy. Do I know what's going to happen next? No. Am I afraid? Yes. Does it occupy a lot of my mental headspace? Yes. More than it should. And I'm working on that. And I'm trying to figure out how to avoid falling into that trap, because I go to that rabbit hole easily. Like I said, I can be negative. I can be negative with my thoughts. So far so that I've been having a struggle to get out of bed, because I don't want to face the next day. I'm afraid like it's going to be another day like the day before, which was an unproductive day in my mind, because my millennial old school mentality is I should be doing something ultra productive, working my ass off, and demonstrating people that I am capable of breaking the stereotypes that I have been brought up to my entire life. Actually, I said this to my coach, which I work with, and she said that I'm too hard on myself. And you know what? Tell me who isn't. Tell me who from my generation isn't hard on themselves. Like, I think that's something that comes with the package of being from those generations. Like, you hold yourself to a higher standard, and when it doesn't work, and this is talking about myself again, when it doesn't work, it's frustrating. When it doesn't work, I feel that I'm a failure. I feel that I will disappoint my family. I don't really care about others anymore. Like, I do care, but at the same time, I don't. I don't know. Does that make sense? Probably not. But I think it doesn't that much. Like others, like, because here, like, nobody knows me. Like, and I don't think they care. Like I said, they don't give a fuck. Like, they see me and like, whatever, man. They keep walking. So who am I going to disappoint here? But I'm afraid of disappointing my family, because I do want to make my parents proud. I think I've made them proud in many ways, I have to say. They tell me this all the time, like, we have a very good relationship in that way, but still, I'm very hard on myself, and I have to work on that too. So I read a lot, and things that helped me go through this during my time last year, because I had a very rough time. Like, I had a lot of breakdowns last year, mentally and emotional breakdowns. And the person who had to deal with it directly was my partner. Poor little thing. I mean, the guy is a saint, because there is no way that if it was the other way around, that would have worked so smoothly like he made it look like to me. Well, I was going through my rants, my breakdowns, my complaints, And they still continue some days. Some days I just can't help it. It just happens. Something triggers it and it happens. I burst into tears sometimes out of desperation of not knowing what's coming next. But things that helped and that I still do, I want to share with you guys. If you use any of these, I want to know your opinions too. I journal because I write. Not only here, I write in notebooks, papers sometimes. Like I did this course, and I told you that's another way of writing. I try to let it all out. But this friend here, this is my second one now. I've gone through 2 of these. The 5-minute journal. It's from the Intelligent Change. It's called the company. I have no sponsorship whatsoever for any of this. But this has helped me a lot. And literally, it takes 5 minutes to do it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at the end of your day. I'm not gonna lie, there are days that I don't want to do it. Like I'm so fucked up mentally that I don't feel like picking this up, but then I push myself to do it because it's 5 minutes. If you can't do that 5 minutes, like then you're fucked. But it really helps. And then I also have these affirmation cards. This is for more spiritual people who like to have motivation. These have helped a lot. I just pick them randomly and they have these very nice messages. You know, like they give you a nice message. Sometimes I feel like they're talking to me directly, that it's scary. And I gotta get a sip of water here. Other times I just feel like I need a break and I read one of those and it makes me feel better. So it helps. And reading all the time has made me complete, you know. I feel like I wouldn't make it through a lot of situations if it weren't for all that I read all the time. I'm always reading something. Right now, I'm reading 2 books simultaneously, yeah. One of them is these. I know it's cliche. And this one, I do find things to be a little bit too cliche. This is the 5-second rule from Mel Robbins. She's very famous. She has a podcast and everything too. I like it. Like the overall message is get your ass up and do something. It's like Goggins, you know. Goggins for people who need to be spoken to in a more gentle way, because Goggins is going to go hard at you. Like I hear that man and I'm scared, but I'm scared of myself for not putting up to his level. And I have tried to, like, I put the alarm every day and I say, I'm gonna conquer my demons like Goggins did, but I still haven't got there. But I will. This year, I made up my mind I will. So maybe I'm not exercising at 5 a.m., but at least I'll try to do it during my day, you know. But at least I'm doing something, but I need to do something. And being that determinator of just changing. And then I wanted to share this because this is a good book. I think everyone should read at some point in their life too. I've read this twice. Like I've read it like 4 or 5 years before, and then I decided to go through it in December. I read it in 2 weeks. The letters are big. If you like to read, you'll go through it very, very fast. It's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and Los Cuatro Acuerdos in Spanish for people who speak Spanish. Very, very nice. If you're a Spanish speaker, this is very rich, you know, for you to learn about. And these 4 agreements are things that, if you understand a little bit about Buddhism, it just confirms that, you know, it reconfirms that. And if you're into meditating, and if you read my suggestion of my favorite book of all time, which is The Alchemist, it reconfirms a little bit of that as well. And it connects also if you are into the whole law of attraction type of books, and the whole manifesting. And if you're all into that, it also again reconnects with that. And what's interesting to me all the time is that you find these type of things that people write that are all related, so there's a message there. And there's also podcasts that I listen to that I love, that have taught me a lot. Last year, I felt like the Uberman Lab podcast was incredible scientifically, and he also brings like a personal insight of things, how they apply for your life in a good way. And then there's like fun podcasts. I do feel like there's a lot of things that are being thrown at us because we have all this overload of information coming from social media, that, like I said, there's terminology that we hear, but we don't really understand what it implies. And we just try to auto-diagnose, like, oh, I have burnout. Oh, I'm going through a case of microaggressions in my workspace. And let's not be so quick, because I have fallen into the trap as well of saying, oh, this person is using microaggressions. Like, what, do you really know what microaggressions are? Like, define it. Or I'm being discriminated, but yeah, discrimination entitles a lot behind it. But sometimes we have to also recognize that there's a lot that we have to auto acknowledge and responsibilize for when it comes to our decisions, our actions, and the way we're looking at things. And I have learned this throughout this experience. And maybe last year was the greatest lesson I've learned in a while, because I had never gone through that. I had never been in this situation where I put an end to a business relationship where both sides are in agreement, which is almost like I'm quitting, but at the same time, they're firing me, because they didn't fight at all. Like, we're done with you, like, fuck off. And then I'm doing the same, like, I'm done with you, fuck off. So it's like not the best amicable way of ending things. And it takes a toll on you emotionally as well because of that. And I've never been in that situation. That's not the only experience I have in my life. I worked since I was 17, and I am very proud of what I did in all of my past job experiences. I'm good at what I do whenever I decide to do. But right now I'm having a hard time figuring out what I'm good at, because I felt trapped in a world where, now that I see it, is not where I want to be. And being 37 now, it's not easy. You know how it is. Like, you're kind of getting old for the professional career world. And of course, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been submitting a lot of CVs and applying a lot, but I'm getting rejected, and every rejection hits, not in the best way sometimes. It's hard. But I don't know, like, I have to stay positive, right? And trust the process, whatever it is. Like Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots going backwards, only going forward. And I have to go forward. So I'm moving on. And just like everybody else moves on, there's so many people out there struggling with greater things. I was thinking about this, like, you're bitching about feeling discriminated and blah, blah, blah. Imagine the people who come here as refugees. You came here with a contract from a company that you worked for 9 years, a company that you were done with before, but you decided to continue it. Imagine people who have to leave the place they love and the place that they would never want to leave, and then come here and deal with that, plus twice or triple what you say you encounter being discriminated, because they're treated as piece of shit, because they don't have a degree, because of their skin color. Like, I wonder, because of their religious beliefs that are obvious, like people from the Arab countries that come here as refugees, that they still very evidently let you know what their religious background is, and they get discriminated because of that, or they are stigmatized because of that, or the Africans that come here because of proximity, of course, and because they also have language and they want to have opportunities as immigrants as well, and they're discriminated because they're treated like you, but more and more so accentuated. So stop complaining. Stop complaining. It's not easy. I have no idea what's coming up next. I'll try to share with you what my days are like and how we move forward from this. On the next video, I'll try to go in deeper on why we need to explore a little bit more into these situations in the workspace. I want to talk about that because I'm ready now. I feel like I cut the cord and it's time. It's time to put it out and talk about it. So I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned. Remember to follow us on social media. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So make sure that you follow us and subscribe. It's important for you to subscribe because that way you get notifications of new content, which I'm going to make sure that I'm uploading, okay? Sorry about that, guys. We'll be in touch. See you on the next one. Take care. Have a good one.